Welcome to Chapter 16, Promoting Environmental Health. This is our final chapter of the semester. Our aim in this chapter is to increase our sense of personal responsibility and empowerment to engage in behaviors that benefit and avoid behaviors that harm the environment. We really want to gain an understanding of individual and community behaviors that are essential if we are to make a powerful difference in our environmental health. At the current rate, the world's population will grow to 9.8 billion by 2050 and to over 12 billion by 2100. Tomorrow's population will be more industrialized, consume more resources, and produce more waste than did previous generations, unless we take actions to control population growth. Global population growth are key indicators of growth patterns, are fertility and mortality rates. So people are living longer. Fertility rates refer to how many births a woman has had by the end of her reproductive life. Traditionally, fertility rates decline as women become more educated, obtain higher socioeconomic status, and have more control over reproduction, birth control. Mortality rates from both chronic and infectious diseases have declined worldwide. People are living longer. They're adding more years of resource consumption and add to the overall human footprint on the environment. Over half of our ecological footprint is from carbon dioxide emissions, our carbon footprint. Due to the growth and demand for finite resources, finite being it's not unlimited, experts are analyzing that the carrying capacity of the earth, the largest population that can be supported indefinitely, given the resources available in the environment. Evidence of unchecked population growth includes impact on other species, impact on our ecosystems, the impact on our food supply, land degradation and contamination of drinking water, and energy consumption. So we're really having a massive ecological footprint on our world. The term air pollution refers to the presence of substances not found in perfectly clean air. In general, air pollutants are either naturally occurring or anthropogenic, human-produced. Naturally occurring pollutants include particulate matter, such as from volcanic eruptions, soil, and dust. Anthropogenic sources include those caused by stationary sources, power plants, factories, refineries, and mobile sources such as the vehicles we drive. The Clean Air Act of 1970, which has been amended several times since then, established standards for 6 of the most widespread air pollutants that seriously affect health. So sulfur dioxide, particulates, carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, ground level ozone, and lead. Smog is a brownish haze produced by the photochemical reaction of sunlight with hydrocarbons, nitrogen compounds, and other gases in vehicle exhaust. Smog is sometimes called ozone pollution because ground level ozone is a main component of smog. It tends to occur in areas that experience a temperature inversion, in which a cool layer of air is trapped under a layer of warmer air, and it prevents air circulation. Like in a valley surrounded by hills or mountains. The most noticeable health effect are difficulty breathing, burning eyes, headaches, and nausea. Air Quality Index, or AQI, is a measure of daily air quality. It focuses on health effects that can happen within a few hours or days after breathing polluted air. The EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, has divided the AQI into 6 categories, corresponding with color codes. The higher the AQI value, the greater the level of the air pollution and associated risks. So here is a chart of sources, health effects, and environmental impacts of the 6 major pollutants. So you can see the carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, and so on. The description, where the sources are, so we'll look at carbon monoxide. The description is it's colorless, odorless gas. The sources are motor vehicle exhaust, kerosene, and wood-burning stoves. Also, I believe, are furnaces. Health effects, headaches, impairment, mental, cardiovascular disease, death. And it contributes to the formation of smog. Most people should, all people should, have a carbon monoxide detector, because they call it kind of like the silent killer. And so if there's carbon monoxide leak in your home, you're not going to smell it like you would gas from your stove, or a gas leak in another area in your home. So carbon monoxide is odorless, and it creeps up on you really, really quickly. So just be mindful. Check your carbon monoxide detectors, because those also have an expiration date on them. So check those dates as well. I had a personal experience with this a few years ago, to where I had to have the gas company come out, and the fire department let me know that the carbon monoxide levels were so high in my home after a furnace repair gone wrong. The carbon monoxide levels were so low, or so high, that if my detector didn't go off, I was about an hour and a half away from going to sleep and not waking up. So check those carbon monoxide detectors, you guys, okay? So here is the AQI color-coded chart. So when the AQI is in the range of 0 to 50, it's good, and it's in green, right? And as it goes up and we get into the 301 to 500, we're hazardous at that point, and that's in the maroon color, a really deep red. So check your air quality. We're pretty good for the most part here. We kind of range from good to moderate in our area, because we have the mills and stuff, so our air quality can vacillate just a little bit. Acid deposition refers to the deposition of wet and dry acidic components that fall to the earth in dust or smoke. It aggravates and may cause bronchitis, asthma, and other respiratory problems. And people with emphysema or heart disease may suffer from exposure. It may also be harmful to fetuses. Acid deposition can cause metals such as aluminum, cadmium, lead, and mercury to leach out of the soil. Mounting evidence that air pollution levels within the homes and other buildings may be 2 to 5 times higher than outdoor pollution levels. Sources of indoor air pollution include cooking stoves and furnaces, wood stoves and space heaters, household cleaners and solvents, mold, pesticides, asbestos, formaldehyde, radon, and lead. Multiple factors contribute to a person's risk of being affected by indoor air pollutants. Those with allergies may be particularly vulnerable for sources of indoor air pollution and possible health effects. So preventing indoor air pollutants should focus on source control, eliminating or reducing contaminants, ventilation improvements, increasing the amount of outdoor air coming indoors, and air cleaners, removing particles from the air. Check the furnace filters too, right? It's helping to collect air particulates, dust from your home, so that it's not recirculating back into the house. The ozone layer protects our planet and its inhabitants from UVB rays, a primary cause of skin cancer. UVB radiation also damages DNA and weakens the immune system. CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons, contribute to ozone depletion. They're chemicals that contribute to that. And They were banned in the US after the discovery of an ozone hole over Antarctica. Today, more than 197 United Nations countries have agreed to basic protocols designed to preserve and protect the ozone layer. So globally, we're really trying to work together to create a better world for our future. Climate change refers to a shift in typical weather patterns across the world. And global warming is a type of climate change where average temperatures increase. The greenhouse effect is a phenomenon in which greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide, CO2, form a layer in the atmosphere, trapping more of the sun's radiation than normal. And it keeps some of the heat close to the surface, and that's what's warming the planet. The enhanced greenhouse effect is caused by the increase in greenhouse gases caused by human activities that raise the planet's temperature higher than normal by trapping that excess heat. Recent evidence points to unusual changes in climate that go beyond predictable natural causes. Studies indicate that large changes in climate can occur in decades rather than centuries or thousands of years. So they used to say, oh, well, 100 years from now, this will happen. Now they're seeing in decades, so 10 years from now. They're seeing these shifts, and they're seeing changes in our climate drastically. We can look at it now. At the end of this week, it's going to be 50 degrees in December. Those aren't normal temperatures. When I was a child, our snow would last from November, December, January, February. We don't have that anymore. Climate change problems are rooted in our energy, transportation, and industrial practices. Increased CO2 production and rapid deforestation contribute to the rise in greenhouse gases, as do population increases and the destruction of natural resources. Keys to slowing down climate change include reducing consumption of fossil fuels, shifting to alternative energy sources, using mass transportation, improving energy efficiency, and increasing governmental regulations. Sustainable development is development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the needs of the future generations. In 2015, 190 nations adopted the Paris Agreement, allowing countries to come up with their own intended national determined contribution. The United States, under our current administration, became the only country to leave the agreement in 2017. Cap and trade policies are designed to set limits or caps on how much carbon large industrial polluters can emit. Large emitters are issued permits for allowable levels of pollutants and are then taxed on those overages. Many communities and campuses have established plans to reduce their carbon footprint or the amount of CO2 emissions contributed to the atmosphere on a daily basis. Just 1 to 2% of the world's entire water supply is accessible for human use. More than half of the world's population faces a shortage of clean water. Although there has been an improvement, the gallons per capita, the United States exceeds most nations in water consumption. So just take a look at individual water usage here. Our toilet flushing is a 24% of our water use here in this country. Showering 20%, faucet use 19%, clothes washer 17%, leaking faucets 12%. So in those areas, are there ways that you can reduce your water consumption? And so our water usage. And this isn't even talking about drinking water. So literally just flushing the toilet is 24%. Be mindful. How long are you taking a shower? I'm guilty. I like a long shower sometimes. But I'm also mindful that this is water that is not accessible to everyone everywhere in the world. Tap water in the United States is among the safest in the world. This is because of the Safe Drinking Water Act. The EPA set standards for drinking water in the U.S. Point source pollutants enter a waterway at a specific point through a pipe, ditch, culvert, or other conduit. Major sources are sewage treatment plants and industrial facilities for water pollutants. Non-point source pollutants seep into waterways from broad areas of land, like runoff and sedimentation, and then through a discrete pipe or conduit. So we're really lucky in this country to have the safe water. We can for most of us, we can turn on our tap and out comes safe drinking water. While living in India, I didn't have that. We couldn't even brush our teeth with the water because it was so unsafe. You could get sick from the bacteria in the water. So it's something to be really grateful for that we have that accessible for us. Some of the pollutants causing the greatest harm, greatest potential harm in our water is gasoline and petroleum products, organic solvents, fracking byproducts, polychlorinated biphenyls, dioxins, and pesticides, all of those things leaking into water supplies. Each day, every person in the United States generates nearly 4.5 pounds of municipal solid waste, MSW, totaling about 258 million tons of trash per year. Although experts believe that up to 90% of waste is recyclable, only about 34.6% of MSW is recycled or composted. Strategies to reduce solid waste include source reduction, recycling, composting, and combustion with energy recovery. So here's a graph to look at how much do we recycle. And lead acid batteries, we're recycling those the most at 98.6%. And then we decline from there with our recycling. So I do believe we can do better. Hazardous waste has properties that make it capable of harming human health or the environment. The Superfund was enacted to provide funds for cleaning up chemical dump sites that endanger public health and land. The EPA has developed protective requirements for land disposal facilities, such as double liners, detection systems for substances that may leach into groundwater, and groundwater monitoring systems. Many types of waste are now banned from land disposal or are being treated to reduce toxicity before disposal. Radiation and our effects in the environment. So non-ionizing radiation is radiation at the lower end of the electromagnetic spectrum, and it moves in relatively long wavelengths and has enough energy to move atoms around or to cause them to vibrate, but not enough to move electrons or alter molecular structure. So examples of that are radio waves, TV signals, microwaves, infrared waves, and visible light. Ionizing radiation is caused by the release of particles and electromagnetic waves from atomic nuclei during the normal process of disintegration. It has enough energy to remove electrons from the atoms it passes through. The sun emits ionizing radiation in the form of high-frequency ultraviolet rays. Exposure to radiation is measured in radiation-absorbed doses, or RADs. Recommended safe dosages range from 0.5 to 5 RADs per year. Okay, nuclear power plants. proponents believe it is a safe and efficient way to produce electricity and could help slow global warming. Some of the disadvantages include disposal of the nuclear waste and potential reactor core meltdown. And when the temperature in the core of the nuclear reactor increases enough to melt both the nuclear fuel and its contaminant vessel, you have a nuclear meltdown. Nuclear accidents, such as those at Chernobyl and other nuclear power stations, can be absolutely devastating. I really want you guys to take a lot of this into consideration. Consider your global footprint. How are you impacting your environment? What you're doing today is going to have an effect on your tomorrow, on the tomorrow of your future generations. Be kind to the earth that you're living upon, right? It's only ours for a short period of time. We're borrowing this land that we live on. Take care of it. Be mindful. Take care of you. Be well. See you soon.